This is Advisorpedia's Power Your Advice podcast, and I'm Doug Heikkinen. We're at Envestnet's Elevate conference, and we're joined by Molly Weiss, the group's president of the wealth management platform at Envestnet. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How do you think about balancing innovation with simplicity across a platform that serves a wide range of users and workflows?
I love this question because innovation is hard to balance with anything. So we think a lot about how to make sure that we are keeping some of our core technology advancing, so something like a trade engine or a performance reporting engine. But then you also have to bring innovation into the picture. And so, things like a new user experience for creating reports, that can be very innovative. But it kind of has to operate on a separate track, and you've got to be able to fail fast and introduce things and get user feedback and then tweak them and innovate and iterate again. So I think, in my experience, having those two tracks of development and enhancements coming to the platform are really important. You've got to keep the core going, but then on the innovation side, you've got to get new and exciting things out there to users, and then just be prepared to fail fast. And if they don't go over well, you tweak them and you put them back out there better.
Fail fast. I love that. Envestnet has grown through acquisitions and partnerships. How do you balance maintaining a unified user experience while integrating diverse technologies?
So I think Envestnet has great experience in both an acquisition that we didn't integrate quickly and acquisitions that we did integrate quickly. And I will tell you that there's a perfect balance between those two extremes. And I think one of the great things about the modernization of technology and the way so many things are built with much more flexible kind of API or user experience frameworks makes it easier to, deconstruct something. So you can acquire a new technology, keep the engine, and hook it up to an existing user experience just using APIs and really flexible, modern user experience frameworks. So I think that going forward, if I was in complete control over any acquisition that we ever did again, the approach I would take is to integrate quickly, but in a really thoughtful way so that you're maintaining the integrity of the acquisition, but hooking it into the overall Envestnet ecosystem in a much cleaner, faster way.
With AI poised to transform wealth management and our lives, how is Envestnet leveraging tools to deliver hyper-personalized client experiences without sacrificing human advisor relationships?
Oh, I love this question too. So I'm a big fan of AI. I err on the side of being more excited than I am scared. I feel like everybody's probably a little bit of both is the reality. However, there are some people that are just terrified of it and think it's the end of the human race, and other people that think it's going to change things in really exciting and fun ways. And I definitely lean towards the exciting and fun. I use ChatGPT every day. He's my new best friend, and he knows everything about me and gives me really helpful feedback about both my life and my career. But I think that the ways that we've already been incorporating AI into the advisor experience is around surfacing data. So I think the foundation of AI is obviously data. So then it's how do you use the interactions that AI can provide and enhance to leverage data and make it actionable and kind of to surface those personalization opportunities. So we talk about our insights a lot at Envestnet. We have insights that can be surfaced up to an advisor. Historically, the advisor had to go look for them. And now the advisor can log into the platform and say, what should I pay attention to today? Or what opportunities for better tax management might exist in my book of business that I should go talk to a client about? So I think it's the engagement that's different. It's not necessarily the action. And what that means is that if we're saving the advisor all this time because we're, helping to serve up those opportunities, or the advisor can just say, what should I do today? It means that the advisor has a lot more time to go call their client and spend time with their client. And so as much as AI might replace some of the tasks that an advisor performs today, I think it actually frees the advisor up to be a better financial life coach to their clients, which is kind of the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. The Wealth Data Platform consolidates 19,000 sources. What breakthroughs in normalizing held-away account data are enabling next best action recommendations for advisors?
So I think that one of the things that I've been hearing a lot from financial advisors, from the firms and institutions that we support, is that the holy grail is in getting the entire wallet share of the client. And I don't think it's about getting necessarily the management of the entire wallet share, meaning the advisor doesn't have to be recommending investments for the whole wallet share. But I think what's important is that the advisor can see the entire kind of picture of the household, and then can make sure that the advice that they're providing is as holistic as possible, as appropriate as possible, as forward-looking as possible. So the way that we're collecting data and can bring in those held-away assets, or even allow the advisor to type in something about a client's, like a piece of art or a property or something like that, helps the advisor look for opportunities where, in particular, maybe the risk isn't appropriate. So if all the advisor did was say, well, you're going to invest $100,000 with me, are you moderate? That's one conversation. But then if you have the entire picture for that client, you may say, well, actually, for that $100,000, you could be a lot more risky because you've got these very conservative positions somewhere else. So I think that the insights that we generate are both about opportunities for the advisor to suggest alternative ways that they could be investing the portfolio, but it's also about ensuring that the client's getting the right advice.
Envestnet serves enterprises to independents. What unique challenges arise when configuring platforms for mega RIAs versus broker-dealers, and how do you address those?
So probably the biggest difference between those two extremes is that independent, in particular high net worth, ultra high net worth advisors, have usually full discretion. So they can decide, that the right action for a client is X, and they can perform that because they have a standing agreement and a standing trust with that client. Broker-dealers, on the other hand, usually don't have that kind of discretion. So in terms of workflow, on the one extreme, you need to make sure that you have a lot of oversight tools. There's a lot of checks in the system to make sure that the client has signed off on the things that the advisor is doing. And on the independent side, we need to make sure that we're giving that independent advisor the flexibility to do what's right for an ultra high net worth client that has an expectation of the kind of service that they're going to be provided by their advisor. So it's a lot of it is about flexibility and recognizing that even the portfolios are going to be usually much more complicated and sophisticated, and we need to make sure that we deliver the tools to include things like alternative investments or highly customized portfolios for really large values. And those are very different workflows.
How is Envestnet's technology stack evolving to support high-tech, high-touch workflows? Will digital tools augment and not replace the advisor experience?
So I think a lot of leveraging high tech and leveraging innovation and leveraging AI is about making workflows work better for the advisor and increasing the amount of automation that exists within platforms and also across our ecosystem. So, I think that the ability to integrate both kind of within an advisor's specific workflow systems, and maybe that's a custodian and a CRM and the Envestnet tech stack, but also out into broader other tools that the advisor might be using in the ecosystem. I think the ability to integrate is going to get better and better. And so I think it becomes about the layer of workflow and user experience that, again, can leverage something like AI so that the advisor is asking a question or suggestions are being served up, rather than the advisor logging into one system, performing part of the workflow, going to another system and performing another part of the workflow. So I think it's the seamlessness of one consistent workflow, leveraging AI, data, and connectivity beneath that user experience.
How does Envestnet's platform address the compliance complexities of serving high net worth and institutions?
We have at Envestnet a compliance and service request and workflow infrastructure that is incredibly flexible. So in some cases, it can be somewhat restrictive and put stops in the workflow and ask for client signatures or client sign-off. And in other cases, it can be much more flexible and not require those same stops. So I think the key, and I think where the Envestnet technology really differentiates itself, is about configurability. Because at the end of the day, I think that you need to be able to configure the right workflow, the right experience, not only for the advisor, but for the client too.
Last one for you. Having risen through Envestnet's ranks, What leadership lessons from integrating acquisitions now guide your approach to fintech innovation?
Well, this is not a technology answer, but what I will tell you is that integrating teams is the most important thing you can do. I think creating a connected organization that understands the value of what Envestnet is doing, versus what their firm may have done or what the value that the acquisition might have brought in the past. I think the minute that you do an acquisition, it has to be everyone's pointed in the same direction, seeing the same value, and that value is big picture. So I would say first and foremost, it's about the people. And the people are who make you successful anyway at the end of the day. And then I think it's that balanced approach to, integration and not waiting too long, but also being respectful of the power of the technology that you might have just acquired.
Molly, it's a great conference. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
For more information, please visit Envestnet.com. Please follow us for more information on X, LinkedIn, and Facebook, all at Advisorpedia. For everybody at Advisorpedia, our producer Tori Miller, and the Power Your Vice podcast team, this is Doug Heikkinen.